See, my umbrella is blocking part of this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're here in Camas, Washington. There is a school board meeting for the Camas School District. We have a group of patriots that have gathered out here, protesters that are protesting bad policies that are being enacted by these outlying towns and cities. We're in Washougal earlier, and this is just a carry-on. The same group of people that we were kind of with over here in Camas, just kind of supporting the Camas, monitoring the school board meeting over here. They're taking people's names down for public comment over here, and there will be people that are going to publicly speak inside. I don't think anybody out here is going to be allowed inside because they didn't sign up. So I think this is just strictly out here as a protest. These lawmakers, well, I call them lawmakers, they're not. These people inside are trying to enact certain policies that a lot of these people, and quite frankly, a good majority of the community doesn't agree with. And this is your chance to voice your opinion, and that's why these people are out here. We don't want critical race theory. We don't want our kids being taught about transgender rights and other delinquent philosophies that only embolden the left and really have no meaning to anything to do with American culture. So we're going to be covering this. I don't know what's going to go down, if anything. I don't know what the plans are of everybody out here, obviously. I was just told about this event. I'll be here to cover it. And I'm going to go slide on over to Joey over there and see what he's talking about. I need to get into my Discord too. Hold on. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Hey, can you girls hear me? Okay. How's it look?
Yeah, she, at first I was kind of like, alright, and then she kind of said the same thing as PC. I'm pretty sure we could have had Hillary.
I'm gonna go walk out here. See, this person's holding a big sign out here too. Kind of a messy day here in Camas. Rain, 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 and some more rain. Didn't stop people from coming out and protecting these weirdos from teaching our kids weirdo philosophies. Hey, quit being a weirdo. How about that? So their sign says, hopefully they turn it around again here. You have a right to use your own immune system until you're vaxxed, it says. So yeah, this is the school district administration building. It looks like, I think Camas High School is right here, it looks like. They have a football game going on over there. Yeah, this might be middle school. It might be a middle school, I'm not sure. Don't quote me, but it's a big, one of the bigger schools in Camas. Of the three, I think, 4 schools total that are here in Camas. This lady's filming on her way out because she's just mystified why people are here. So disconnected. Alright. Howdy.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Did you take a good picture of that guy?
Yeah, I did. He's dedicated.
Yes, he is.
He's got his poncho on and everything. He's dedicated. I like it. I think the people that are administrating the people coming in are definitely a little concerned as to what people are doing out here. People have signs, a couple flags. Got more people that are showing up. Lots of people that have gone into the meeting. I think probably the most interesting thing would be to get the opinions of a couple people that are leaving, that are inside this meeting, honestly. So I think, yeah, I'm going to sit here and try and catch some people on their way out. So I'm also looking at the signs, and I'm noticing a lot say health freedom now with no vaccines, no masks, emblems to them. And I can only assume a lot of this meeting might have to do a lot with the vaccines and the lockdown mask mandates for the schools. Probably going to be a topic spoke about in there. So Quincy just showed up. BCP will be out here. So what brings us out here now? What brings us out here now? Oh, sorry. No importance? I don't think that's the case.
Take somebody out with your umbrella, then we think you're in.
I know, this is a big ass umbrella. So I want to go over there and see what the libertarian's saying to people. He's got libertarian on his shirt. I want to see what he's saying to people. I feel rude just like sneaking up and being like,
What are you saying? Like, okay, why are you?
so you know what they're going to be talking about tonight, though? No.
I didn't even know this was going on.
Well, I seen it a couple days ago, but I didn't know it was going to be like a big deal. There's a good amount of people here.
Because if we don't do that,
Who organizes, Joey? Okay.
Hey, how you going?
now you know.
Good to see you. I just saw. Oh,
Got a bigger crowd gathering here, like probably 20 or so people. Got more people rolling up. Lots of people that went into the meeting. So we're gonna have some speakers. So I'm just letting you guys know anything that they talk about vaccine-wise, CDC related, COVID-19, that kind of stuff. I'm gonna have to mute because of YouTube. So if they start talking about that stuff, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to mute it. To all of you on YouTube, I'm sorry. To the rest of the platforms, I'm kind of sorry as well. You kind of have to suffer. But, yeah, it's either that or I can restart the stream and do no YouTube. It's kind of up to you guys, whichever you would prefer. I think it's easier just to mute it. That way we can still keep, still keep YouTube up for the rest of the stream. Yep, there we go. Doge going back up. Sweet. So yeah, just take you guys through a couple different screens. I'm going to add some kind of disclaimers as well. So when we get a blurred screen with muted audio, you guys will understand. But well, you guys can't hear me, so that was our muted blurred screen. This is going to be our blurred screen for graphic content, anything else that is inappropriate that can't be shown. And then there's also the muted screen. I'm going to switch back over one more time. And then, just so you guys know, I might use it, might not. We'll see what they talk about. Yeah, it is our last chance on YouTube, and I would like to not burn it up on something benign like this. So. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Here, hold on, guys. Should I update this one more time here? If I don't put a space at the end of the thing, it looks all crammed down there, so. Yo, what up? Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, I got them both. I just wanted, I don't know if you saw or not, but I just kind of like tested it out so people would understand. Okay.
They just took the table down and going in and stuff. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is. It's 5 minutes past. Thank you. So she is right. They just took the table in. Like I said, these are the people that were taking names down to speak. So actually, I think the closing for the speakers, you had to register by 3. So I think they were just checking people in, would be my guess. So it looks like the meeting's probably started. So it looks like they're broadcasting the meeting over here.
To meet the mask requirement for public meetings and ask that commenters keep their masks on during their remarks. If you're unable to do so, we will gladly receive your comments in written form. I also want to acknowledge that we received multiple written sent emails, and they're all written into public. So I will start with receive it first.
You were on the list to be in there.
I was, and I gave my seat up for Scott Miller, but he didn't.
Okay, I'm here as a campus security as well as a class teacher. I want to thank you for the work that you do. You all focus on many, many things, and I get to focus on my small part in the district, which brings me to my first point of discussion. I teach 6th grade at Liberty, and I absolutely love it. I'm also a parent of an incoming Liberty 6th grader. The plan for 2021 is to have 7 sections comprising of 24.4 students each. If we add just 4.3 students to our overall roster, we're going to have to create a new group or be an overload. With the current COVID guidelines, my classroom barely has space for the 29 students I already have in each class. We've had this need to add an additional 6th grade section the week before school starts almost every year at Liberty. In 2020, our children have dealt with numerous changes. They've modeled what we adults should be modeling: grit, determination, and a will to do whatever it takes without complaining to be part of our community. In 2021, I'm asking that you start the year with stability without the expectation of a modification. Please add one more section to Liberty 6th grade. This will ensure students don't have to make a change and that we can build communities from day one. For my second point, I want to speak to the issues addressed at the last board meeting about equity. My understanding is there are parents in this community that don't believe equity should be part of our schools. I strongly disagree with this line of thinking. You may have heard the horrific news last month from Aledo, Texas, where high school students started a slave auction on Snapchat. Some may be thinking, well, that's in Texas, that wouldn't happen here, but that thing did happen here in Camas in 2017. Our son was posted for sale on OfferUp as a field hand for $50. He was described as a hard worker, but he will need to be whipped. The Camas High School student who created this ad was a teammate of our son's. I went to the principal, to the district, to anyone I thought would help. This incident happened before we began our equity work. That student was removed from the soccer team and suspended for a few days, but nothing else happened. He never had to have a conversation with my son. He never apologized. He never explained his actions. He never learned the lasting impact that had on my kid. After we began our equity work, one of the CHS administrators actually apologized to me, saying we didn't get it right. We all know Maya Angelou said, when we know better, we do better. We know better now. We know that equity doesn't mean being white is bad. We know that BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color have been hurt in our history, and that pain continues today. Parents of Black and brown children have to teach them things that parents of white children don't have to teach. My white son can wear a hoodie anywhere, anytime, but my Black son, he pulls his hood up. That could be dangerous, even life-threatening. People who say skin color doesn't matter have the privilege of ignorance, because in our country, in our state, in this town, it does matter. Critical race theory acknowledges the privileges I have as a white person, privileges our white children have. As a white person, I don't have to worry about somebody who's supposed to be a friend advertising me as a slave. To acknowledge that we haven't had the added struggle of being judged by the social contract that is race doesn't lessen our struggle. It just acknowledges that's not one of them. Equity doesn't mean less for one group. It means giving each person what they need to help ensure success for them, which in turn means greater success for our community. As an educator and a parent, I want all of my kids to understand the history of and present-day impacts of race. For those accusing teachers of having an agenda, here's mine. I want every student to feel they belong and they are important. I want each student to know they are safe, they were created beautifully, and there is nothing wrong with them, and they are not inferior in any way. Thank you for your time.
That sounds really good.
Two people clap.
And if you didn't notice, the bell is just a quick little reminder.
And it did happen, it's horrible. We all agree with that.
The next on my list is Sharon Dawson.
Quality, not equity.
Yes. And the Lake House
Everybody. My name is Sharon Dawson. I
lived in Camas since 2007, and I have 2 kids in our public school. They started off at Prune Hill, and now they're in high school. My family has benefited from the Camas schools in many ways over the years. The high caliber of teachers we have continually encountered have contributed to my kids' enjoyment of learning and their overall quality of life. There are 2 very different learners and 2 very types of students. They're both excelling as students and learning in our school district, and I thank our teachers in our school for that very much. My perspective on this challenging school year as a parent is that the school system is doing everything they can to keep our children safe and our community healthy during a global pandemic. I mean, come on, what are the, I don't know, I just find it crazy that we're going through a pandemic and we're arguing about wearing masks and people are dividing instead of coming together over a very crucial time in our kids' lives. The speaker who spoke previously about kids modeling what we should be doing as adults just really struck me. Let's see, what about so keeping our children safe and our community healthy during a global pandemic on the state level. Washington State has had really slow death rates compared to other states, and I largely attribute this to schools being remote. I'm satisfied and grateful for the remote and on-site options presented to me during the pandemic. I'm indebted to teachers pivoting each week and every day as new challenges arise. My kids continue to learn this year, and I'm very proud of them. One of the key learning moments for my junior was as we watched in the last school board meeting and the comments discussed coming to the public hearing. My daughter is already learning to think critically about issues on race and racism and on why racial inequities exist in our society and ways to eradicate them. She's learning history in school and observing adults in our community argue against it. I'd love to see our students come to the next school board meeting and share their views with parents and educators alike. I really hope next school year that we can come to a place where we don't have to wear masks, where we can have students going to school full time. The pandemic is behind us, and we can join together as a community and really support our students to whatever challenges they have. Thank you.
Yes! Woo!
Thank you. Our next speaker is Marissa Ramsey.
My name is Teresa and I reside in California. My concern is who identify and disrupt my bias and my privilege. Over the past year, I have been asked twice on 2 different occasions to acknowledge my white privilege by people who are white themselves. I am a first-generation immigrant woman. I was born and raised in a war-torn country. I came to this country as a minority through a diversity visa program. Years later, I met my husband, a veteran Marine, and we started our family. I was able to sponsor my parents to immigrate to the U.S. a few years later, and they have been living with us ever since. Our family is diverse. It's a multi-generational family. We are bilingual. We practice different religions and experience different cultures. As you can imagine, the topic of diversity, equality, and equity has a special place in my heart. As if it wasn't for all of that, I wouldn't be here tonight speaking to you. Our country is diverse. It is one of the greatest nations in the world, and Americans are kind, tolerant of other cultures. I am disappointed to observe as we grow tolerant of other cultures, we are growing intolerant of one another, to the point that we judge an immigrant woman merely based on the color of her skin. Our community and our nation is that, where are we going to be in a decade from now? When I first moved to this country all those years ago, everyone felt comfortable to approach me with their questions. They wanted to know who I am, where I am coming from, what is it like to grow up in a different country, and what my story is. They learn from me and I learn from them. Throughout the years, I was never discriminated against or shamed of who I am. But unfortunately, year after year, there are less and less individuals who feel comfortable to ask me those questions. Our children are being taught that it is offensive to be curious, to ask questions, to get to know others the way we do. Our schools shape the future of our communities and our country. Who do we want our children to be? A group of individuals who could see the world only through the lens of color? Here's my plea to you tonight. As our board of directors, as our community members, as parents, as you implement this important work throughout our schools and communities, please remember my story. And last but not least, I wanted to thank you for serving on our behalf, for being our voice, and for allowing me to be here tonight.
Our next speaker is Brandy Hebo.
Hi, my name is Brandy. I live in Camas. At the last board meeting, I spoke about the district's equity website and the critical race theory statement that was on there from last fall until the end of March. The statement read, quote, "Our staff is learning to teach through the lens of the critical race theory." Since the last meeting, the district has said they do not have a set of curriculum that involves the CRT. I would like someone in the district or on the board to finally acknowledge that yes, that statement was on the equity site and it is no longer there, and perhaps why. I am also asking the school board tonight to vote no and not approve the academic and student well-being plan. I understand you're probably not going to do that, but I understand that this is a state requirement in order for the district to receive the ESSER and COVID funding. I want the board to understand that by approving this plan, you are triggering the funding and approval of the, quote, equity training that will happen this August with staff. Board members Corey and Erica have been attending our Citizens Advisory Committee meetings and saw a brief preview of this training module that is coming. We will see what staff think of it when it happens in August. I see what's happening with the word equity and equity lens, though. These words are being used and overused everywhere. I believe the district's equity lens is flawed. For example, where was the equity lens when all of the students in special education were forgotten and left off of the senior sweatshirts? My friend's son was crushed when he received his, and his name along with his friends were nowhere to be found. Where is the equity lens for the children having a hard time breathing in their masks all day while being My friend who has children in the district and works in a neighboring district said at her school alone, 6 children have been taken by ambulance due to passing out from wearing their masks all day at school. Where is the equity lens when all of the 5th graders at my niece's school were threatened to lose their 5th grade celebration because several kids played together at recess and they weren't supposed to cross cohorts? Where is the equity lens for the children who cannot be vaccinated for medical reasons or their parents choose otherwise? When the Skyridge Middle School news comes on and the vice principal discusses vaccinations being available for kids 12 to 15? Where will the equity lens be in the fall for the working single parents when unvaccinated children are sent home to quarantine while the vaccinated get to stay at school? School board members, I understand your hands are tied from everything coming down from our state governor, superintendent, and the local health department. I am asking you to please be the voice of our community and ask for the mask and vaccine restrictions to be lifted and let families choose what's best. To tell me what they like me to tell the board on their behalf. Here are their 4 statements. My hungry nephew wishes they had more options for lunches instead of just one. My niece, she wishes recess ladies would pay more attention to the kids not being safe on the equipment instead of always looking at their phones. My other niece said she doesn't like having to wear a mask at recess. She also wishes the classes could play together at recess instead of being separated. And my last niece said she wishes she didn't have to wear a mask outside and be able to play wherever they wanted and not stay in their cohorts. Thank you.
My list is Don Johnson.
We are not your dogs to be muzzled! We are free human beings!
Don Johnson.
You are here illegitimately on our taxpayers' dollars! There is no evidence showing the spread of COVID-19 does not accelerate it from no masks! You have no authority! You are tyrants!
You're interrupting someone.
I don't care! You make any money. You make no money. You steal money from people at the force of a gun.
They're on your
Yeah.
side. She's on your side. You're not having two men telling you to go back in the building. I think you should just listen. You're interrupting someone who's on your side. You're not. You should just stay on side, I think.
Joey Gibson was moderate.
She thought she was gonna.
That's not
She thought
water,
she
man.
Because they were expected to write on
Thank you.
Come in. Of
course they can.
Here we hear you. You are amazing. This past school year has taught us anything. It's that families play a vital role in a child's education. In fact, students are the largest stakeholder for the school education system. So why aren't you involving them as parents in the decision-making process? Surveys of non-students are not engagement, especially when you don't listen to parents' responses. Like this past year, when over 50% of families wanted to have this right, like 1 in 4 library. Not even for guidelines. Guidelines, I might add, that the Clark County Public Health Agency follows up with right there on its website. This statement. The state health department encourages districts to work with local health departments.
Huh? No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Ultimately responsible for establishing appropriate education services.
Promote it. Present it to the school, and we'll give an in-service. That sounds good.
Parents have expressed their health concerns over keeping kids in masks for 7+ hours a day. And while I'm sure you must follow state mandates, you could use your position as an elected body to pressure state officials to remove it and instruct the superintendent to do the same, just like the superintendent did from Central Regional School District in New Jersey, when he sent a letter to their governor saying all staff who wished to be vaccinated had been, and asked them to remove the state's mask mandate so that their children could breathe again. To curriculum, on page 74 of the Camas Education Association Collective Bargaining Agreement, the school district is required to establish a review and adoption committee of teachers, not parents, to participate in the exploration, testing, and decision-making around new curriculum. Parents should also be a part of this process. I'm requesting 3 items for the board to take action on. Call a work group meeting for the board and parents to establish a meaningful family engagement policy, not one that just checks the box for Title I funds. Ensure families are part of the curriculum review and adoption committee. Send letters to state officials requesting they remove the mask mandate for students reflective of families' health and well-being concerns. I hope you finally understand, and I hope the media finally gets it right. This is not about open or closed, masks or no masks, introducing a new curriculum or not. This is about truly involving parents in the decision-making process and making sure that outcomes reflect community needs. If you can't do this, respectfully, then it might be time to evaluate whether or not you should be serving on the board.
That's right.
Well put.
Well put.
Our next speaker is Kathleen Clarks.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Clark, and I reside in Camas School District. My background in education is that I have an education doctorate in institutional management from Pepperdine University, and I have served in educational roles for 30 years as a teacher, administrator, and founding principal of the public high school, California Academy of Math and Science. The Academy was established to facilitate entry of inner-city high school students into math and science career fields. Additionally, and most importantly, I have grandchildren in the district. Having the experience that I have, I've observed management issues in the school district. Firstly, communications between the school board and the community have demonstrated some deficiencies. I'm sorry, I put this down a little bit. Public managing Public messaging has asked for parent input, but it appears that decisions have already been made by central office personnel on the board before the community is thoroughly informed. For example, the implementation of standard-based grading offered no parent forums or student feedback. Parents were never told the reason for the implementation, and the timing of the implementation during COVID was disruptive to families. Another example was the removal of high-level classes from middle school.
Yes.
Lack of transparency demonstrates a deficiency in real communications with the community and a diminishment of trust between families and the district. New district policies have not been shared sufficiently with the community, and the top-down model of administration has been the mode of communications. I would venture to say that because of this, the district has experienced a notable 6% decline in enrollment this year during a time of population growth. Lastly, for tonight, important questions for educators and families. What will the school day look like in the core content areas come fall of 2021? For example, will high school core classes revert to the pre-COVID 58-minute class time or remain at the current 38-minute class time?
30.
Teachers have mentioned that 38 minutes is insufficient content class, including classes like APs. Secondly, the social emotional learning is
How do you learn anything in
time?
37 minutes?
Detrimentally affected the
38
children.
minutes.
We cannot continue to subtract time from essential learning in the core subject areas when our students are already behind. Finally, what will the COVID protocol for the fall be? For instance, will COVID shots be required for maskless entry into the school this fall? Most districts have information out to families by early summer so that parents can make education decisions for their children. This is the most crucial example of the need for transparency. Thank you for your action on these matters.
Got to enlist her.
Yeah, gotta get her.
Oh, yeah.
You know her.
Gotta
get her.
7 years. I have two daughters in the Camas school system. Last board meeting was the first board meeting I've ever participated in. It was very eye-opening for a few different reasons. First of all, it appears as though the school is more concerned about driving an agenda that's politically motivated versus listening to what the parents have to say, taking into account the science of what's really going on here. You know, you've kind of backed us into a corner with things like critical race theory that are only going to further divide the community. If you really dig into critical race theory and you read what it's about,
He's very good.
That's to divide.
it. It's based on color. And it's going to divide people more than what it is right now. Thank you.
Instead of class warfare, it's
That's
color
right.
warfare.
The part about the science that really bothers me, that I want to make sure we understand, is that there's all this talk about the vaccine and making sure everybody's vaccinated. But again, if anybody took the time to read about this is not a vaccine. This is chemotherapy. A vaccine prevents you from getting whatever that said virus is that they're making the vaccine for. It takes roughly 10 to 15 years to make a vaccine, to go through all the clinical trials, and to do all the testing. This was pushed through and take a 15-minute lunch and don't speak to anybody else.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So you're not listening to the parents. You're driving your own agenda and you back us into a corner.
Sorry, I had to mute that. I had to mute that for a second, guys.
They didn't die from COVID. They died from organized pneumonia that wasn't treated.
He works in the medical field.
It's a virus, so they don't treat pneumonia, so they just go into respiratory distress.
Critical race theory and the negative impacts and brainwashing of some of the proposed curriculum and guidance for the CSD in a strategic plan, equity and anti-racism purpose. Unfortunately, the school board has sunk to a new low and resorted to using local liberal media as they attempt to silence, intimidate, and shame those who oppose their view as they try to further their obscure agenda.
They're working.
They made a very big tactical mistake.
Amen.
I thought we could discuss the facts. I want to quote some of the proposed language in this hidden agenda that the school board has put together. CSD Equity Procedure 3112. Implementation of the following core practices. Current forms of oppression. I will identify and disrupt my biases and own my privilege.
Oh.
I will dismantle practices and policies that perpetuate oppression.
Dismantle.
It goes on to say, draft curriculum for adoption, selection, creation for emphasis on correcting historical myths and disinformation, and including multiple cultural perspectives. This sounds like a hidden agenda to me.
Amen.
I'd like to know if this is the 1619 project in disguise. Affinity groups for when hiring for the school district. CSD states very clearly that they're going to discriminate against hiring those who are not within these groups.
Right.
What does this teach our children?
Discrimination!
CSD is going to openly discriminate, or better yet, oppress those who may be more qualified, but don't fit the CSD's equity and liberal agenda.
Well, that's what
This is
universities
exactly
do.
one of the tenets of critical race theory that maintains it is morally permissible to racially discriminate against another race as long as it racially engineers other less equitable people. Remember when I said last week that you're awakening a sleeping giant?
Yes.
Well, you have more than awakened a sleeping giant. Great parent awakening.
Amen.
Is this woke liberal push on our children a legacy that you will tolerate and leave for your children and your children's children? No. Will you allow this indoctrination to continue and be part of their education? You as a school board answer to the people who put you there.
Yes!
Well, you should.
Well, you should.
Citizens of Camas, you don't answer to that position. You've got it wrong. But you've allowed this to happen. Either way, you are complicit.
Nice.
Parents, I urge you to pull your children out of the school district.
Amen.
And
Yeah.
hit them where it hurts. Yes, it will be hard.
They'll still get paid. They'll still get paid. Like the last year and a half.
That's right.
Our children and their future, they deserve it. It's a legacy we can leave with them. Our futures, our children's futures, rest on what we do today and tomorrow together. If you're listening from other school districts, parents join in and stop this nonsense. It is time, parents.
Anybody else have it?
No, they lost it on the feed.
Oh, how clever. Silencing the opposition.
Maybe stop the meeting if we can't hear it.
It should.
The meeting needs to stop. We can't hear the audio.
You're right. You're right.
They muted it.
They muted it?
They muted it.
Because we got too loud out here. Oh, well. Thank you.
Where was that guy that was making all the noise? He'll take care of it.
Board directors, I have a brief statement I'd like to read. My initial is D. I am a 5th grade teacher at Helen Bauer. I am the president of Camas Education Association.
Oh, boy.
Is this going to be hard to stomach?
To say that the last 14 months have been tough is an understatement. As with all professions across our country, we learned to adapt amidst the global pandemic. We faced learning new technology in a very short time. We developed relationships with our students over screens and celebrated with them when meeting in person. We learned to plan quickly for changes. We navigated 4 to 5 different schedules just this year. Many of my members say it has been like their first year all over again. And for some of my members, it was their first year. Too often we are defined by association and not seen for the individuals we are. It's disheartening to hear public attacks on the Camas Teacher Union, especially in our small town, that many of our educators not only work in, but live in as well. Yes, we belong to a union that supports public education, fair compensation, and a clear bargaining agreement that outlines rights and responsibilities. But our fabric is made up of individuals with diverse backgrounds. So, who are we? We are white, we are black, we are Asian, we are Indian, we are deaf, we are parents. Many of us came from home and made sure our children, school-age children, made their Zooms. Some of us were singletons who had to isolate from friends and family. Many of us were worried about our older children away at college, hoping they stayed healthy. Some of us, including even me, are grandparents who didn't see their grandkids for several months.
What are you getting at?
Some of us wanted schools to reopen more quickly, and some of us wanted to wait until rates dropped significantly. We are your neighbors, visiting over fences, raising a glass of wine, understanding that these indeed are trying times. Some of us are retiring or moving on to positions in other
Education for you.
Some of us will be transferred to new buildings because of changing enrollment. 21 of us are looking for new placements as our 1-year contracts end in less than a month. Some of us will be going back to school this summer to earn higher degrees. Some of us will be working.
They're just filling the spaces.
Yeah, that's what you get for education.
Most of us will be planning most of the summer
She's using up
for the next school
valuable
year.
time.
Collectively,
That's what it
we will
is.
celebrate the end of this school year, yet tearfully be saying goodbye to our students.
Yeah.
Together as an association, whether we agreed or disagreed on how, we face the challenge brought on since March 13, 2020. We are proud to work in a district whose mission is to see and serve every
She's
student.
babbling.
Camas Education Association stands for strength, support, and students.
2
We
minutes of
recognize that
babbling.
we are stronger together. We support each other and the profession of serving in public education. And most
Honest.
importantly, we're student-centered because to all our students aged 3 to 21, because they are our why. So who are we? We teach Camas. Thank you.
Teach them what?
Oh, wow, great speech. Good thing we're here for speeches. Good thing we're here for a good speech. Wow.
She took up the speech of one person on our side.
Let's talk about the issues.
I'm so sorry, dear.
Talking about your piss poor life, like nobody cares, dude.
Yeah, what are you teaching them?
Yeah.
That's the last person that should be speaking.
Okay, I gotta read.
Huh?
They're gonna let him finish because they muted him.
Oh, that's nice.
Did what?
I'm going to finish because they muted him.
Good.
Oh, well, maybe he went over his time. I mean,
props are required.
So I spoke last week about critical race theory and the negative impacts of brainwashing of some of the proposed curriculum. Again, proposed curriculum and guidance for CSD and the strategic plan, equity and racism purpose. Unfortunately, the school board sunk to a new low and resorted to using local liberal media as they attempt to silence, intimidate, and shame those who oppose their view as they try to further their obscure agenda. They did make a very big tactical error. So I thought we could discuss the facts. I want to quote some of the proposed language in this hidden agenda that the school board has put together.
Preach it.
CSD Equity Procedure 3112. Implementation of the following core practices. Current forms of oppression. I will identify and disrupt my biases and own my privilege.
Right.
I will dismantle practices and policies
Is
that
this policies that
oppression.
the school board is supposed
Goes
to?
on to say, draft curriculum for adoption,
Crazy.
selection, creation for emphasis on correcting historical myths and disinformation, and including multiple cultural perspectives. This sounds like a hidden agenda. I'd like to know if this is the 1619 project in disguise. CSD will continue to expand on affinity groups for when hiring for the school district. CSD states very clearly that they're going to discriminate against hiring those who are not within these groups. What does this teach our children when CSD is going to openly discriminate, or better yet, oppress those who may be more qualified but don't fit the CSD's equity and liberal agendas? This is exactly one of the tenets of critical race theory that maintains it is morally permissible to racially discriminate against another race as long as it racially engineers other less equitable people. Remember when I said last week that you are awakening a sleeping giant? Well, you have more than awakened a sleeping giant. You've ignited a firestorm.
Yeah.
A great parent awakening.
It's a great parent awakening.
Legacy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
To continue to be part of their education. You as the school board, you answer to the people who put you there. You answer to us, the citizens of Camas. You don't answer to that position right there. He or she answers to you. But you've allowed this to happen. Either way, you are complicit. Parents, I urge you to pull your children out of the school district and all others. Hit them where it hurts. Yes, it will be hard, but fighting for what you believe in is worth it. It is about our children and always will be. Our children and their futures are worth it, and they deserve it. It's a legacy we can leave with them. Our futures, our children's futures, rest on what we do today and tomorrow together. If you're listening from other school districts, parents, join us and stop this nonsense. It is time, parents. The great parent awakening is here. We must unite and vote out these board members who have kept our kids out of the school, who continue to ignore the science and logic, who bow down and cater to teachers' unions, who place politics and woke agendas ahead of children's educations and knowledge. We, the citizens of Camas and Washougal, are going to take back our communities and our schools. We are strong, united, we are growing, and boy, do we mean business. We'll see you at the polls.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. And again, we apologize for that.
I thought it was going to be on the front door. It's not on the front door. I think it's inside. Of course.
So I'm assuming that's a guy that they're trying to get elected.
My concern lies with the academic theory built on the intellectual primacy and identity Mark Pizzotto. Yes! Critical race theory is a loaded, extremely controversial, far left political agenda. It divides people into classes based on the color of their skin and various forms of perceived privilege, labeling them as either an oppressor or the oppressor, taking no consideration for the contents of their character. It is not a continuation of the civil rights movement. It is a repudiation of it. To critical race theorists, Martin Luther King was both wrong and naive. They don't believe white Americans can ever judge blacks by the content of their character. Euphemisms invoked by its supporters to describe it include equity, social justice, diversity and inclusion, and culturally responsive teaching. Those who peddle this dogma are masters of language construction. They realize that equity sounds non-threatening and is easily confused with the American principle of equality. Equality, equal opportunities for all, is explicitly rejected by critical race theorists. To them, equality represents mere non-discrimination and provides camouflage for white supremacy, patriarchy, and oppression. Equity essentially means equal outcome, and what I'm seeing in other areas is reducing opportunities, especially in math, or lowering standards in order to allow high and low achieving students to end up with an equal outcome. So tell me, what is the equal outcome you hope to achieve with our children? And what methods do you intend to put in place to get them there? Tell us straight and stop dancing around the issues with nuances and provide clear and concise explanations to parents. We deserve to know so we can make informed decisions about our children's education and school choices.
Right.
I understand a state bill was signed requiring teachers to receive critical race theory training, but I don't believe it requires it to be implemented or taught. Teaching these divisive ideas to our children as some kind of newfound truth crosses a line. This theory does not allow you to disagree with its ideas without being outcasted.
Exactly.
Being against this does not make you hateful or racist.
Yep.
These accusatory labels are a form of social bullying. Intimidating or shaming others is being quiet and accepting this is wrong. Critical race theory does not have to be embraced in order to address problems in society. It divides, and we very desperately need to find some way to unite. Look past our differences and help each other. To those who know this is wrong, stand up and speak out against this. To teachers' unions and equity supporters, stop using coercion to push your ideas on others.
Yeah.
Parents, please report your experiences and inconsistencies in what we are told and what you and your kids are encountering at school in as many places as you can. Let's hold Camas School District accountable.
Yeah.
If you do not answer, it will show that Camas School District does not care about what parents think and puts their own interests or social cowardice to teachers' unions and critical race theory supporters above the best interests of our children. Please prove me wrong. Thank you.
He said I might not make it today and my phone might die.
Want to address the Camas School District. I'm sorry, this is so hard to be heard. I can hear other people, but I can't hear myself. Okay, the Camas School District resolution for the school board commitment to equity and anti-racism. It all sounds really good, but I just want to break some of it down, okay? The recent incidents of violence against Black Americans highlights the systemic bias and institutional racism in our society. I think this is a claim based on assumption, and I want to know which facts are listed in order to come up with this assumption. It senselessly and atrociously devastated so many Black lives throughout our country's history. Slavery is a part of our history. Nobody here is supporting slavery, nor any yokel who makes a joke by posting a slave on Facebook or whatever. That's just sick. Are Black lives as a group being atrociously devastated systemically in today's society? If so, how was Barack Obama elected not once, but twice as the most powerful man in the world to represent us, the United States of America? The violence, racism, and disregard of human dignity and life reflect and perpetuate a system within which students, families, and staff of color and their families are oppressed and attacked, both through explicit racist actions and as well as unconsciously biased and microaggressions. Okay? That's true, but it's not just affecting people of color. That affects everyone. Humanity is frail. We make mistakes. Part of living is giving grace to people so that they feel like they are allowed to make mistakes.
Amen.
I have good teachers for my kids who tell them that it's okay to make mistakes. But what we're saying is we want to eradicate what makes people human. They make mistakes. Humans are stupid. We do stupid stuff every day. I do. I'm also a student of history. So while I don't claim to know everything, I enjoy reading it. I am sensing red flag. How are we going to eradicate systemic bias, right? Even if it doesn't, in regard to color. You can try to make everyone believe the same, but what gives you the right to do this? I'm not saying you personally. I'm saying any agenda that a school district would come up with. How do we have the right to change individual ideologies? The goal here at the bottom of this first page, I could go on and I won't take up too much more time, but it says, we value each and every student, family, and staff member and are committed to creating an equitable and anti-racist system that honors and evaluates all. That's really great. However, the word inclusivity, if we're going to include all voices, let's not base it off of color. I truly believe that most people are good. I believe that it's a handful of people who are racist, and they are full of hate. I don't believe that we can legislate how people feel about their biases. Exactly. And I don't believe that equity is the answer for our future generation. Sorry for taking over time.
And our last one for tonight is Marco Hamilton.
That would be Mako Hamilton, thank you. I'm a Camas parent, former educator in our county. I have 3 young school-age children, and hearing a lot of the rhetoric tonight and that's been going on is scary. It's scary because I'm raising 3 beautiful brown babies in a very white community. I would challenge everybody in this room, and people who are listening, to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Look around the room, and you tell me, does everyone in here look like you? I'm fortunate enough to coach a college basketball team, and I get to recruit over 150 young men every year. I sit in homes of 30 to 40 families, and it's a privilege to be able to interact with unique individuals from all different types of backgrounds. One of the great joys of coaching a team is we get to bring a collection of individuals into what we call a mini melting pot. We have young men from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different hometowns, different religious beliefs, different ideologies, but we get to come together and share life. We have 3 core values that we try to instill in our young men. The first is empathy. Empathy is being able to put yourself into someone else's shoes in order to meet that person's needs. The second is integrity. Integrity is doing what is right, no matter what the circumstance or the pushback may be. And lastly, we teach our young men about serving. Service is sacrificing in your own individual lives for the betterment of those around you. It's very apparent to me that we're living in a very entitled, very narrow-minded community. A community that is not thinking about those who are not highly represented. As this world continues to grow, as this area continues to grow, diversity of mind, of thought, of color, of agenda is going to be pushed into Camas. And it's scary to hear parents wanting to have a voice when their voices are all the same. I can get on board with this anti-racism curriculum not working because it won't. And the reason why it won't is because the individuals who are steering these young children, they're not going to be steered by the teachers who are delivering the curriculum. It's the parents who they go home to every single day. And if those parents do not have a view of the world around them that is not narrow-minded, the curriculum
He wants
work.
conformity.
So the challenge to me is to the community to think outside of the box, think outside of yourself, think about those around you. I'm scared for my 3 beautiful brown children, but like the history of this country, either our community was pushed out of into other communities, we are told to conform. I'm scared, but I'm not going anywhere. My family's not going anywhere, and we just fight it. And my man back here talked about the 1619 project. If you have not listened or read, I would encourage you to do it because it's history that has never been taught in our school system, in our country, and it's an important part of who we are as patriots. Thank you.
Just say no to Marxism.
Conformity is what it is. They want you to conform to their view.
We will now move on to the business part of our meeting. We're all welcome. Yes.
It's making you feel that way. What is so scary? Yeah, like scary sometimes. Who's scaring him?
All you white people, you know? Us white people. Such bad people. Don't be white.
Different minds, different minds.
But it's not
I agree with you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it isn't anymore. You're right.
critical
Now,
race theory. They literally put white, Jewish, and Asian population that we are to be oppressors.
yeah.
Sorry, I thought Martin Luther King had it. Yeah.
Yeah, not something we want our kids being taught, that's for sure. Or being influenced by, rather.
Public comment is now over. Can't really hear what they're talking about.
Are they all dismissing?
Yeah.
Nobody, like,
If I can catch a couple people on the way out. Thought they were going to come out a little faster. I just don't want my phone to die. I've got 5% battery left, guys.
it's not? Okay.
They're still in the meeting.
Well, if my phone dies, just so you guys know, thanks for showing up for this. Like I said, I got 5% battery left. Just want to make sure I say goodbye and close out this stream. Public comment is closed. The meeting is closing out right now. And kind of ending the meeting inside there, the boardroom. So, like I said, if the stream dies, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you everybody that donated, shared your comments and your views. Mods, thank you for showing up. I know it's not the biggest stream, but thank you for modding over there on all the platforms. Still got a decent sized crowd out here gathered around the speaker. So they are still speaking. I don't know about what though. Oh, she's okay.
So don't let them think that you have no choice. Until the legislature votes to remove all of our vaccine exemptions, we can still use them. They can't require it. I would like you to pay very special attention. If we have a special legislative session this summer, they will likely go after all of our vaccine exemptions, all of them. I highly encourage you to check out an organization called Informed Choice Washington. They've been battling for years to try and maintain our right to informed consent so that our children can stay in school and make
Thought this was pretty cool too.
from the popular opinion. So again, that's Informed Choice Washington. We have a local campaign.
So tomorrow, make sure you tune in around 5:30. We're going to be back out at Washougal, the school district there. Make sure you guys tune in. It'll be 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's going to be the same thing. There's 2 women that were kicked out of a meeting because of a comment they made about a mask, and they were trespassed by the police. And the school board is seeking to actually file those charges and go through with them and keep them exempted from the meeting. So we're going to go have a barbecue out front, have some speeches, whatnot, tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that. I think at this point, my phone is going to die, and I don't want it to die unexpectedly, be rude. So I think I'm going to close the stream out. Thank you, everybody. Had good numbers tonight. A lot of people in chat. Appreciate it. JJ, thanks for being there. Denise, Bonnie, Greta, Tanoa, Foxstar, over there on YouTube. Denise over on YouTube. Kathy, Kristen, Reality TV Mom, Dr. Sunny, Just a Girl, Danny Walters, Laura, Chelsea, Jitsu Face. Thank you everybody for checking in. I see all your chats. Appreciate you guys voicing your opinions and seeing the truth. And like I said, I don't know why they're not coming out. So I think before my phone dies, I'm going to call it quits. And I'll see you guys on the next one, alright?